out to all my kids, my children. Follow me, you know. This is for my C-H-I-L-D-R-E-N, my children. This is for my C-H-I-L-D-R-E-N, my children. This is for my C-H-I-L-D-R-E-N, my children. This is for my C-H-I-L-D-R-E-N, my
wants to know. He wants to know how you guys feel. Today's meeting basically is totally on this. I'm going to show you a tape that they sent down from the headquarters. If everybody can turn the lights off, the light switches, and then that way I think you can see it a little bit better. Or maybe these are all of them. I don't know. I'm afraid to touch stuff. Okay, all right. We're going to look at this tape, and this tape is going to give us some idea of what they're trying to talk about or do.
Hello everyone, I'm Tim Kaine, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee. America is facing a devastating economic challenge, and it seems like the news gets worse every day. America's unemployment rate has reached its 16-year high. Last year, America lost more than 2.6 million jobs. More than 1 million people lost their jobs just in the last 2 months, and our economy shrank by 4% from October through the end of the year, the largest decline in the economy that we've seen in a quarter century. Finding a solution to this economic crisis is on the mind of every American, and it is President Obama's top priority. The President and members of Congress have passed a stimulus plan that will help jumpstart the economy and accomplish critical objectives to get our economy growing again. It's already been passed by the House of Representatives, and the Senate is preparing to vote on it very soon. The final bill in the Senate is likely going to be adjusted and strengthened, and it will help get the economy back on track. But it's not enough for an economic recovery plan just to be debated in the halls of Congress. It has to be understood by Americans how this plan will directly benefit them and their communities. It's up to each of us to make sure that our friends and neighbors know that help is on the way and to share the basic facts about this plan. The number one priority of the President's economic recovery plan is to get Americans back to work. The plan will boost employment by saving or creating more than 3 million jobs nationally. One thing that we've learned from past economic crises is that you've got to act quickly to prevent further declines. That's why more than 75% of the money allocated in this stimulus plan will be invested in the first 2 years to stimulate growth in the American economy. The money will be spent on immediate investments in infrastructure projects, the repair of roads and bridges, doubling the production of alternative energy, improving the energy efficiency of homes and buildings, rehabilitation of our schools, computerizing medical records, and investing in broadband so that we can use that as a greater platform for economic success. These are investments that will put people to work right away, but will also fuel economic growth by building a solid foundation for greater economic success. The details of the recovery plan will be accessible as soon as the Senate acts so that every American can track exactly how the money is being used, where it's being used, and is it having the effect it needs. All you'll have to do is click on the website www.recovery.gov to find out how this money is being used. And this is in accord with President Obama's pledge to make his administration and this particular plan as transparent and accountable as it can be. As with any bold plan of this size, there are a lot of questions about how the plan will work and how it's going to affect individual Americans and their families. Many of you, in fact 30,000 of you, submitted questions, and I'm going to try to answer a representative sample so that you can have information about this plan to share with your friends and neighbors. All right, let me read the first question, and this one is from Eric in Noblesville, Indiana. Eric writes, "It appears as though a significant amount of money is designated toward infrastructure that could take years to have an economic effect. Will it have an effect now? Why not make infrastructure a different discussion and a different bill?" Well, Eric, the President and experts believe that we need a balanced approach to get the American economy moving again. We need to put money directly into the economy, which we can do through some of the federal spending and tax cuts for families and small businesses. But we also have to invest in long-term economic growth by improving our infrastructure, including investments in renewable energy, education, and an improved healthcare system. This balance between immediate action and then building the platform for long-term economic growth will get our economy moving. We've got to do both. In Indiana, just to give you an example, the President's plan will create or save more than 79,000 jobs over the next 2 years. The plan provides funding to modernize 176 schools. These kinds of investment means jobs right away for workers in places like Noblesville and schools that will become equipped with the labs, classrooms, technology, and libraries that are needed for success in the 21st century. Here's a question from Medina in Jersey City, New Jersey. I want to believe that this bill will help jumpstart the economy. Do you have a plan for handling the unprecedented deficits engendered by this bill on top of the Wall Street bailout that's already been passed? What kinds of structures will be in place to monitor money being apportioned by this bill? Well, we know that we have to act now, because if we don't, things are going to get much worse. All economists on all sides of the spectrum agree with that. We're facing the worst financial crisis in this country and in the world since the Great Depression. We've lost 2.6 million jobs this year, and if we don't act quickly to pass this stimulus package and get the economy growing again, unemployment could easily exceed 10% as a national average and be much worse in many communities, with millions more people losing their jobs and struggling to take care of their families and make ends meet. So we have to act now. But we also have to act responsibly. We can't afford to waste money. We've got to target what we do. Okay, now I have a question from Ruth in Oakland, California. And her question is, I support the idea of infrastructure spending as a spur to the economy. However, I'm concerned that the projects be distributed fairly into those parts of the country where unemployment is the most severe. How do we plan to ensure that the money in this plan will go to employ the unemployed in states where the need is most dire? Well, under the President's Recovery Plan, an independent analysis will determine where the monies are spent, and we will spend them based on need, not politics. That's going to determine how the money is allocated. In the near term, it's also important, Ruth, that the plan provides unemployment insurance enhancements to people who've lost their job and are desperately in need of help. It also provides health care for people who have lost their job to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks and lose health care coverage for their families. In real terms, the President's plan will provide an additional $100 per month in unemployment insurance benefits to almost 2.4 million Californians. And we will also provide an additional extension of current unemployment benefits to 506,000 laid-off workers in California. That's the right thing to do for families, and it's the smart thing to do for the economy. Okay, the next question is from Mark in Hyattsville, Maryland. Mark writes, your plan includes hundreds of billions in tax cuts as stimulus. How is it different from trickle-down theory beloved by the super wealthy and the supply-siders, but widely discredited and derided as voodoo economics years ago? Well, let me make it clear right from the start. The President's plan is not a top-down approach, because we've had enough of that, we've tried it, and it hasn't worked. So, as an example, Mark, the tax cuts are a $1,000 tax break to 95% of working families. These are not tax cuts for the biggest businesses or the wealthiest individuals. It's working families. And investments to create or save more than 3 million jobs through investments in rebuilding our schools, roads, and bridges. Just in Maryland, more than 2.2 million Marylanders and their families will get a tax cut, and more than 53,000 will be able to use the new American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is a tax credit to help people afford college better, significantly up to $2,500 tax credit a year for 2 years to help with college affordability. These are real tax breaks for working people that put money directly into their pocket so they can pay bills, pay tuitions, save, spend, and put food on the table. All right, let me now answer a question that was sent to us by Louise in New York City. I'm troubled by the